Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/spookshow. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
You see Santa Claus tonight? You better run, boy. You better run for your life.
But Mother Superior, it's Santa Claus.
Now I have another reason to hate Christmas.
Now that hell is full, I wonder where you will go.
The caller is in the house. The calls are coming from the house.
You're my family now.
But if you're bad boys and girls, your name goes in the bad boys and girls book, and I'll bring you something horrible.
Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus.
The All-American Spookshow Podcast.
Hello and Merry Christmas. Welcome to another edition of the All-American Spookshow Horror Podcast. I'm Josh, and I'm joined here with Donnie.
Hey.
Will.
What's up?
And the Professor Smoke.
Hey.
It truly is a Christmas miracle because all four of us are here at the same time. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is the first time all four of us have been on here since the third anniversary show on Halloween Day. So it's been damn near 2 months since all four of us were on the show at the same time. It's been some combination of me with someone else ever since.
I gotta go, guys. I gotta get it.
I just realized that I got to see a man about a thing.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest. I gotta go too.
Fuck it.
Fuck it.
See y'all.
It's like my mom said. You gotta finish what you started.
No. I don't know. That makes as much sense as when old Millard said it. But yeah, today, to get to the point, we're going to be talking about the Gingerdead Man from 2005. Now, this is the one that our patrons over on patreon.com/AASpookshow voted for back in the November poll for us to watch here at the holiday season. So we're fine. The receipt is due. We have to pay up.
Thanks, patrons. No.
Yeah. Thanks, I guess. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting one to see what everybody has to say about it. But before we get into the background and all the other stuff, I'll go ahead and toss out the usual information. You can email us or contact us there, at allamericanspookshow@gmail.com with any comments, questions, whatnot. You're probably going to have a lot of comments, questions, and fuck yous after this show. So the place to do it is allamericanspookshow@gmail.com, or you'll just curse the earth we walk on because we made you watch this movie. Twitter @AASpookshow. You can DM us, all the other things there. Of course, we're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, the Slasher app. You should be able to easily find us by going to All-American or searching for All-American Spook Show. We have our YouTube page where every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. East, we do a live version of the Deadline Horror News where we just go through the week's box office reports and the latest headlines in horror and other things there. That's every Wednesday night live at 9 p.m. on our YouTube channel. And, of course, we have our Patreon page, patreon.com/AASpookshow, where you can, become a patron, like $1, $3, all the way up to like $1,000 goofy level that no one will ever do. Lots of cool perks there. The biggest ones, even on the lowest, I think starting at least a $3 level a month, you get video minisodes. You'll get to vote in the monthly poll for a movie that we're going to watch next month, which that's what the product of the Gingerdead Man is. Like I said, this month's poll they're all three Cannon films, like early Cannon films from the early 80s. We've got 10 to Midnight, the Charles Bronson cult classic. We've got X-Ray or Hospital Massacre, however you want to title that one. And
Enter the Ninja movie?
Yeah, Enter the Ninja. Yeah. So one of these things is not like the other, but yeah. Maybe that's why it just skipped my mind. But yeah, so X-Ray, Enter the Ninja, and 10 to Midnight are your three choices this month for what we're going to be watching at the end of January. I think it's literally like the last day of January. It was the episode we had marked for that one. I think it's episode 93 if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, you go over to patreon.com/AASpookshow and you can vote on that poll right now. That's live. And you've got until the end of December to vote on that one. So it'll be interesting to see what the patrons have to say on that. Of course, you get early access to episodes, all that other stuff, tons of bonuses and all kinds of stuff, at subtle levels. So check that out, patreon.com/AASpookshow. And, of course, our TeePublic page where, we have our logo merchandise and other cool designs and stuff over there. That's available. We have links to all these things that I just mentioned down in the show notes there, the link tree. You click on that, and you should see the links to all those things and easily involve yourself in the Spook Show universe. So I guess before we get into the knee-jerk reactions here off the top for Gingerdead Man, I'll go ahead and toss to the trailer.
In a quiet bakery, one woman is about to confront her past.
We gotta fight back.
An unforgivable act of violence.
It also says here that after they fried him in the chair, they cremated him and sent his ashes to his mother in Coonsboro.
Something else was just left at the back porch, too.
Must be that gingerbread seasoning.
Ah! Heck!
An unholy curse.
What is that fucker anyway?
I think I know what. I mean, who it is.
It's me, Raptor! Why'd you come and get me?
A new kind of cookie.
What the hell is that?
Well, it sure ain't the Pillsbury fucking Doughboy.
Who are you? Ah!
Never tasted so good.
Eat me, you punk bitch!
All right, so there you go. So, Will, you haven't been here in a minute, so I guess I'll toss to you and see what you thought about this one.
I have had questions about previous movies we've done, like why. This is what happens when you make a movie on PCP.
Some type of drug, there's no doubt.
It's interesting. It's bad, but I think, at least for me, this one was bad in all the good ways. So I enjoyed it.
All right, Donnie, what do you got to say about it?
Shit.
When
I saw the trailer, I was like, all right, this could be like so bad it's good. Oh, yeah, I mean, typically I will rent movies on, I say rent, you know, if we do a movie and it's not available, like, you know, Prime for free or whatever, I would rather rent it from like Prime or, you know, YouTube for like $2 rather than sit through, you know, 10, 15 minutes of ads on Tubi. Mm-hmm. But for this one, I was just like, yeah, because it was, I think for rent, it was like $4. I was like, fuck that. I'm not doing that. I'll sit through the 15 minutes on the Tubi.
That's crazy how the rent scale is too, because I'm pretty sure like Silent Night, Deadly Night, we had to rent that at the end of last month when we talked about it, and it was only $2 on YouTube. But the Gingerdead Man is $4.
Gingerdead Man is $4 for rent. You could buy the damn thing for $7.
No.
But yeah, Tubi was the way to go with this one, and the only thing I wasted was basically time.
Well, you know, you can earn money back. You can't get that time back. So there's the,
it's true.
There's the eternal debate. Professor, what do you have to say about it?
Actually, I guess this is the first time for all of us watching this movie, right?
Yeah, I think we failed to mention that. Yeah, you're right. I think this was the first time watch for all of us, except for Will. I think is what we said, right? You've seen this 4 or 5 times, right?
Oh man, countless times. As in, you can't count them.
Yeah, it's never happened.
I've known about this movie forever. Although I didn't. We were talking about it before we started recording this episode. I couldn't even remember what year this movie came out. If I had to guess, I would have said, 1999, maybe 2000. Seems like one of those millennials, like right at the turn, you know.
Oh yeah.
But it was actually what. So, but I've known about it for a long time, and I don't know why I never got around to watching it before. I knew about Gary Busey doing the voice. I'd probably seen the trailer and seen clips from it, but this was the first time just sitting down and watching the whole thing at once. It is it's a movie. It's a movie. It's really so like what Will was saying. I mean, it's entertaining though. You can't deny the entertaining factor of it, whether it's a shit movie or what, and we'll get into that. But yeah, my first impression was exactly as I kind of expected it to be. So didn't surprise me, but it was entertaining. Everything else we'll talk about, I guess, once we get into it. How about you, Josh?
Yeah, I think my thoughts are all they echo you guys. They're all similar in different ways. It's a movie, like you said, it came out in 2005, but it feels like 1995. It's brief. It has that. It's not.
Thankfully.
It's not very long. I mean, at least it's not like a 2-hour movie or something like that. I think you'd want to gouge your eyeballs out.
So, like in previous movies, you'd be like, hey, how about those credits? This one, how about that runtime, huh?
Oh, I even thought about that as I was looking at the credits, and I was thinking, like, man, these credits look like they were made with, like, Windows 95. Like, these credits are horrible. Because at that point, like, you know, I knew enough about this movie to know, like, you know, just from the trailer and anything I've ever heard about it, to know this movie's probably not going to be great. So you know, the whole time you're looking for redeeming qualities. At least I was. You know, like, well, there's got to be something here, right? And I wasn't. All I'll say, you know, not to spoil much for the end there. We'll get to it, but I didn't find much. We'll see where we all land on this one. It's going to be interesting. So I guess some of the background information. You know, a movie like this, you're not going to find a bunch of deep cut, you know, information. And there's a few little things, but I'll run through some of the usual information that we usually find. Now, it was released August 30th of 2005, but it didn't come out. The DVD release wasn't until November 8th of 2005. So that was the thing that I found those two different dates on two different, you know, from two different sources. So it was kind of a clash of when did this movie come out? Because like August 30th, but like I don't think this had a theatrical run. So like where the hell did it come out on August 30th that it played somewhere that day for that date to exist, but it was like basically a straight to DVD movie that didn't come out until November 8th. So I don't know, you know, if one of those or you know specifically the August 30th date is right or wrong, or maybe it played in some festival somewhere and it just didn't list where. Maybe some drive-in or you know some dank ass drive house or grindhouse or something. I don't know, but it must have played somewhere, and then you know comes out on DVD November 8th. It's not rated, so once again, that backs up the straight-to-DVD thing, right? Because if it had some type of theatrical release, you'd think there'd be some type of MPAA rating on it, but it's not rated. The total runtime of this movie is 1 hour and 10 minutes, and legit, it's like an hour. The actual runtime of the movie is actually, if you cut off the beginning credits, it's probably more like 55 minutes of film. Like, you think I'm exaggerating? I mean, for real? I mean,
no.
It probably is. It's probably give or take about actually 55 minutes of a movie. So it's basically like a long episode of, you know, whatever's on CBS this week. You know, like
Thunder in Paradise.
Yeah, NCIS is as long as this movie. You know, if you cut all the other shit out of it.
Well, at least they didn't try to pad it out too much. I mean, yeah, the credits are over long. But at least they didn't try to insert a bunch of just inane crap into it just to make it be an hour and a half, like some movies do.
Woo.
Like some movies will do that, and you know it, you feel it too.
I don't know how much. I think there's there is an inane crap quota. Like there's only so much you can put in a movie, and even they were like, you know what, like this is dumb enough. We can't make it any dumber. So, an hour 10 it is. Either that, or there's some quota of how long something has to be to actually be called a film, you know, so they just strung together really long credits, so see, it's a movie.
It's an actually film. I don't know what that is, but there is some time it's like to make something be a feature-length film versus short.
Yeah, a short film or like just an episode of a TV show or something.
Or they didn't cut anything and they just shot it. We're like, yep, that's it.
All right, so you're suggesting this movie is one take?
You know what? That may actually raise my star rating if it is that.
That would definitely, like, you know what? That wasn't bad considering that. Regardless, before we continue, I should mention we are a spoiler podcast, so if you haven't watched The Gingerdead Man and you ever care to watch it, go ahead and pause this, go watch it. Like I said, it's only going to take you about an hour, and then come back and listen to the rest of this. On IMDb, it's listed as a comedy/fantasy/horror. So I'd say that
fantasizing about this shit.
Well, maybe if you were in some, you know, drug-fueled, you know.
PCP. There you go, Will.
Yeah, it goes back to that again. Man. Well, fantasies don't always have to be pleasant. It could be a nightmare, right? But I'd say
ask Hellraiser.
I'd say the order. I'd say the order of that is correct, right? Comedy, fantasy, horror, right? Like it's.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely not. It's definitely not horror first. That's for sure. It's horror last. This was filmed October 11th, 2004 through November 14th of 2004. That means they had, give or take, you know, a few weeks here or there, about a year to spit this movie out, and this is what they came out with. Like, they filmed this thing and sat on that footage for damn near a year. Especially if you discount the August 30th date and just go straight to it being released November 8th of 2005 on DVD. They had a year to sort this movie out and make it make sense, and this is what came out.
Man, to be fair, I mean, they work third shift at McDonald's. I mean,
yeah, and it's like Jesse James Meets Frankenstein's Daughter. They were probably filming like 8 movies at the same time. You know, this is a full moon movie, so that's very, very real. It was filmed. You know, the opening scene was filmed at the Pink, or I guess the Pink Motel / Cadillac Jack's Diner. That's in Sun Valley, California. And then there were various locations around Los Angeles where they shot the rest, even though this is supposed to be like in Texas. I mean, I don't even know why they made a big deal out of that. Does it really matter where this? I mean, is it just because they wanted their actors to talk like, you know, woo-wee, here we go. You know, they wanted them to sound country, so they just said it was Texas. Like, this could have been anywhere. Like, the location meant nothing.
Yep.
In a similar vein, also the whole Christmas aspect of the movie could be taken that way. There's like, I don't know if anybody did it. Was there anything about Christmas movie besides that, just the Gingerbread Man?
You know, you're right. I didn't even really dwell on that when I was thinking about the deep plots of this movie. That
I mean, I don't this movie, and I think I probably, we have a list of holiday movies that we all kind of contribute things to, and I might have put these on that holiday list, but because I saw it on another person's Christmas movie list.
Yeah, that's a good point. You might be right. Like, I don't remember anything Christmas about this, like you said, other than the fact that it's a fucking gingerbread man. Like, I don't remember one Christmas tree or nothing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't think so.
And that's the other thing too. Like, well, we'll get into the plot of it here in a minute. It's just something I just thought of, but we'll get to it. But it was shot in various other locations around L.A., so in Sun Valley, California, so that general area. Critic scores. IMDb gives it 3.4 out of 10 stars. Very similar over on Rotten Tomatoes. They don't. This doesn't even apply to the tomato meter. Like, no critics are watching this. But the audience score is 28%, so that's roughly about the same. 3.4 out of 10, 28%. I don't know if either of you guys saw this, but one interesting note that I saw was that it was one thing, I think it was on the Wikipedia page for the movie. It said, in an interview with PopHorror.com, Charles Band reportedly offered Gary Busey $25,000 to star in the movie, expecting him to turn it down, but then he accepted it.
I did see that.
Yeah. 25 grand. All right.
Yeah, we read the same. The same thing.
We must have our same generic sources. We didn't dive any deeper than Wikipedia, but yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Gary Busey.
Well, if you think about it like this, I think it was 1996 or 1995. He had a motorcycle accident, and he had a TBI from that, which sucks on any level.
Yeah.
But that's got to impact your decision making. Not to mention, maybe your eye.
He has been a series of interesting decisions since around that time period. So yeah, you might be right.
When was the wreck?
Well, you said 1996, right?
I think it was it 96? I
don't
thought
know.
It was 96.
I don't know. I didn't look this up.
Will, you're a connoisseur of Gary Busey.
Actually, no, I just read this. That happened in 1988.
That's what I said.
No, you said 96.
I know what I said. I'm just kidding. I was like, yeah, that's what I said.
I'm with you. Oh, okay.
That's sort of like the Goonies, like booby traps. That's booty traps.
Booty traps. Yeah, that's what I said.
Booty traps. Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah. So, anyways, this actually somehow 3 sequels were made. Now, I shouldn't say somehow. It's fucking full moon, right? So. And Charles Band, so there, no surprise, he made 3 more movies involving the Gingerdead Man. Gingerdead Man 2, Passion of the Crust, in 2008. Gingerdead Man...
First off, you're going to hell just off the name of that one.
Gingerdead Man 3, Saturday Night Cleaver in 2011. And then Gingerdead Man versus Evil Bong in 2013. Now, that's a whole other franchise in and of itself, the Evil Bong franchise. Very highly respected in the film community, of course, the Evil Bong franchise.
Oh, but the first one of these movies, this one that we're reviewing today, didn't get any critics reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, but I think the second one got crucified.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It works though. It works. It's good stuff. Anyways, so yeah, that's pretty much like all the type of background, type of information I could find. So I guess we'll get into the cast and crew or whatever. It was directed by Charles Band. So he's basically the I guess owner, founder, however you want to put it, of Full Moon, right? Like Full Moon Features, whatever the title is, of the company there. So he's known for making these types of movies, over the last 2 or 3 decades, since the 90s, I guess. This is the kind of stuff that they make, He has 69 credits, which he should just stop right now. That's perfect for the kind of shit he makes. He has 69 directing credits that date all the way back to 1973. He directed Last Foxtrot in Burbank. and it wasn't even under the name Charles Band. It was as Carlo Bocchino. But then 3 years later, he made Crash, and then eventually like Parasite, a number of other movies, The Dungeon Master, Trancers, skipping through Prehysteria. Around that time period, I think they kind of started going into that lane of like the Gingerdead Man type stuff. Because, he directed this one in Evil Bong and Aliens Gone Wild, of course, that old chestnut. Devil Dolls, Ooga Booga. There's been way too many of these Evil Bong movies. When you're looking through here, you're like, God damn, man. One of his more recent ones back in 2020 was Corona Zombies. So they got that one out pretty quick.
Yeah. Charles Band. We can do a whole spotlight on him because outside of all this, even before all this, he was one of the people that kind of, I guess, co-creators of the company Media Home Entertainment back in the VHS, one of the earliest, distributors of VHS tapes. And then he went on to do Wizard Video, which anybody who was renting movies back in the day knows them from their big box horror releases like Pulci Zombie, etc. So he had that company, and I can't remember, Empire Pictures maybe even, I believe, before he even got to Full Moon, yeah. So, I mean, we could definitely do a whole spotlight on him. He goes back to the dawn of VHS and before.
Yeah, no, I mean, what I was reading there, those were just his directing credits. His producing credits, he has 342 credits. So, I mean, like, all the Puppet Master movies, that's all him. Like I said, Trancers, Meridian, Dr. Mordred, he was producer on all those. I mean, the producing credits, they date back to 1973 as well, that same movie, Last Foxtrot in Burbank. But yeah, tons more there. Laser Blast, Tourist Trap, a video documentary called Famous T&A, and not the old wrestling company either, T&A. So you can imagine what that's probably about. Film Gore, Ghost Warrior, Ghoulies, Troll, Terrorvision, Breeders, Crawl Space, Necropolis, Dolls, Vicious Lips. Tons. I mean, good Lord. You could sit here all day and look at this. Ghoulies 2, Sorority Babes and the Slimeball, Bolorama. I mean, Assault of the Killer Bimbos. I mean, tons of movies that we've talked about randomly, and some of these movies that we will definitely get to here on the Spook Show one day or another. I mean, you can see there's tons of fucking examples. But yeah, like you said, that's a whole spotlight in and of itself, just going through the career of Charles Band.
Might even be a 2-parter episode of a spotlight or something. So,
yeah, I mean, you could literally just do like, all right, here's one spotlight about all the movies he's directed. Now here's another one about all the ones he's produced. Writing credits, William Butler. This is a story from William Butler. He's got 29 directing credits on IMDb and 28 writing credits. So, equal amounts of success, varying there. I mean, on here he's most known for Madhouse. He wrote a movie called My Babysitter, the Superhero. That's recent. And another one back in 2007 called Furnace. And he actually directed Gingerdead Man 3, Saturday Night Cleaver, in 2011. He stuck around with the franchise in some capacity. But the writing credit goes to Dominic Muir, but in this movie he wrote as August White. Because he's got writing credits for tons of other stuff well before this, including Critters, screenplay by, in 1986, which we talked about. I don't have the episode list up in front of me, but we talked about that one. I want to say that was back in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a little while back, but we have talked, did a whole episode on Critters once before. But yeah, he wrote that, and let's see, Hitman in 1998. Of course, this one, Evil Bong in 2006, Decadent Evil 1 and 2, Evil Bong 3, The Wrath of Bong. I just love reading all these credits, man. And of course, he's actually even had a couple random acting credits. He's got 4 acting credits. He was in Hard to Die back in 1990 and Mom in 1991. So there's a couple things there. But that is Dominic Muir, a.k.a. August White. The cast, of course, you start at the top. You start with Gary Busey as Millard Fendelmeyer. Like, I don't know why they had to come up with this goofy name for a serial killer or whatever the hell he was. Like, I guess you'd call him a serial killer, right? But either way, bad dude. But why is his name Millard Fendelmeyer? Like, you could have went a little simpler, you know? Like, I don't know. It seems like there's more to the story there, but who cares?
Well, that's what they didn't show. That's what they cut out of all the padding that they could have done. It's the backstory of Fendelmeyer or whatever it was. You know, that he got bullied so bad as a kid that's what led him into that life. Is his last name.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a whole movie that we need to learn more about Millard Fendelmeyer, or we could just skip it and never mention it ever again. Those are our two options, really. But Gary Busey has 182 acting credits on IMDb that date back to 1967. He has an uncredited role in The Love Ends, and then the next year an uncredited role in Wild in the Streets. But his first credited role was Didn't You Hear? In 1970. But yeah, I think he really kind of came into his own when he played Buddy Holly in the Buddy Holly Story, right, in 1978. I think that's kind of his star-making turn. I mean, he had been in a number of like TV movies and TV series and stuff, but I think that's kind of where his career launched, was from the Buddy Holly Story. And of course, DC Cab, I should mention that too. It went to a whole other level with DC Cab. But a lot of horror film, people that are listening to this would remember him as Uncle Red in Silver Bullet in 1985, the Stephen King adaptation, and a number of other things. I mean, he was in the first Lethal Weapon movie, Joshua, but he was in Predator 2. I mean, he had some success there, like I said, in the late 80s, the early 90s. Point Break, The Firm, Under Siege, that Steven Seagal flick, tons of stuff. I mean, he was, throughout the 80s, like I said, and the 90s, he was, I would say a bigger name, but his career started to kind of, I wouldn't say it went in the shitter or anything like that. He just started taking like a lot more smaller roles. He would occasionally be in something bigger, like, like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas or something like that. But mostly it was TV series, TV movies. And then at some point, I guess around the time of the Gingerdead Man, or maybe slightly before that, he just started taking anything that, oh, you're offering me money? Okay. Because he did this, like we said, for $25,000. So, but he's still active today. I mean, you still see him and stuff. And his latest one, he was actually a voice in the video game, Hitman 3, that just came out this year. But he's got a few other things in pre and post production that are coming out. But the most recent thing you actually would have seen him in is Gary Busey Pet Judge, a TV series. God knows what streamer or TV network that comes on, but can you imagine?
No, not at all.
And then, of course, he plays Millard Fendelmeyer once again, just recently in 2019 in I guess this is a music video? I don't know what the hell this is, but it's Bunker of Blood, Chapter 8, Butcher's Bake Off, Hell's Kitchen. It's got like 40 titles, but apparently, whatever this is this a movie? What the hell? No, this is a movie. Yeah, I'm just looking at it. It's a movie. It's got fucking Gingerdead Man in it, it looks like. And it's called Bunker of Blood, Chapter 8, Butcher's Bake Off, Hell's Kitchen. So I don't know if this is like a spoof type of thing, and they just started throwing a bunch of characters in, because it looks like this might be Charles Band. Okay, so this must be a newer Full Moon flick that we kind of missed when we were talking about the Gingerdead Man. Yeah, because it's got like Evil Bong. It looks like all the some of the other,
all the hits.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know about that one. So yeah, we left that one off the list. But that was the latest thing. So I guess you probably actually would not have seen him in that. I was just looking at what recently you might have seen him in, because he's done a lot of voice work. So it looks like the most recent thing you might have seen him in, other than Gary Busey Pet Judge, is the last Sharknado. It's About Time TV movie, the sci-fi flick from 2018. It also stars Robin Sidney as Sarah Lee. Oh man, the jokes keep rolling, don't they?
Yep.
She's got 49 acting credits on IMDb, but she would best be known for this: Evil Bong 2, King Bong, of course, Femme Fatales, and Cattle Call. That's a Lampoon flick. So a lot of these type of flicks, a lot of Full Moon stuff. I mean, I'm looking through, like, looks like she's been in a lot of the Evil Bong movies, the other Gingerdead Man movies, some of the Puppet Master stuff. So yeah, like full on like Full Moon is what Robin Sidney's up to. Ryan Locke is Amos Cadbury. He's known for this and American Gun, NCIS, a movie called Supercross. He's got 16 acting credits that date back to 2000. He was in a short called The Upgrade, and his first movie was American Gun. Really, that would be, I mean, otherwise it's just a handful of like TV series appearances, like the new Magnum PI, the new Hawaii Five-0, you know, that CBS type stuff, CSI, NY, NCIS, all the CBS shows. Apparently Ryan Locke's all over them. Larry Cedar is Jimmy Dean. Damn it all to hell, these names. He has, now he, remember in the movie, he's the guy that plays like the rich guy that is about to start the restaurant across the street and tries to buy him out or whatever. That guy with the cowboy hat. He's got 205 acting credits on IMDb. He'd mostly be known for a role in Deadwood, you know, that HBO series. He was in Community, Law and Order True Crime. That's more recent. American Horror Story. I guess back in 2016 he was in some of that. That kind of stuff. Otherwise, it's literally like over 100 or so TV series, TV movies, stuff like that. A little bit of everything. I mean, a slightly recognizable face, but nothing big. You know, just smaller roles. I guess that's about it as far as like who to mention here, right? Like I can't really think of anyone. I mean, because you know, Gary Busey is the main one, is, you know, the Gingerdead Man himself, old Millard, Sarah Lee,
Jimmy Dean.
Yeah, old Jimmy Dean, Amos Cadbury. So I mean, pretty much all the rest are, you know, smaller roles. You know, there's really no reason to go through it. So
roles,
acting. So yeah, I guess before we get into the movie itself, do you guys have anything else, you know, that I didn't mention here?
I actually did find something. There was one of the producers, and the only reason he's a producer is because, you know, you guys asked, you know, how. I think it was something. Something we had talked about earlier, like where did this movie come out at, you know?
Okay.
But it was actually financed primarily through like crowdfunding, like Indiegogo, GoFundMe, Kickstarter. One of the producers, and this is what I was talking about in our group chat, our, you know, little group chat that we have, you know, for the show. So one of the producers is actually a wrestler for New Japan. He's wrestled in Lucha Underground. So he, I guess, when he's not, you know, wrestling, you know, dwarves or whatever, he's financing these shitty movies. But his name is he goes by Keg, which I think his full name is like John Keggins, but he goes by Keg.
Okay.
And if you go to his IMDb, yeah, well, you know what, you don't really have to, just fucking skip it.
Yeah.
he is financed all of I say all of them. It's quite a bit. I think he's got like 14 producer credits for basically. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Gingerdead Mans and Evil Bongs. Jesus. Actually, we might as well say 14 of them.
He's putting money behind it, so he must have been the one that suggested, like, hey, we ought to have this guy be like a wrestling nut in the movie.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to go to WrestlePalooza, and he's all obsessed about it.
That's his fault.
We have him to blame.
The one thing that I found that was kind of funny is when during the movie they kept offering like $50,000 to buy out the place, right? And then I kept thinking, like, as I was watching this movie, I've never heard of a walk-in oven before.
No, never.
No,
right?
Never. I was thinking that too. I was like, Jesus, what an oven! Like, and she only made one cookie in it, by the way.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Everything that I'm finding, an oven that big that's walk-in, guess how much it's worth?
$50,000.
$50,000.
You serious?
I mean, they've got different ones, but like most of them, you know, that's around 10,000 aren't nowhere near as big. And that thing was gargantuan.
Yeah, like one that size, man, you could cook like fucking 5,000 cookies at once, you know, like. And she just made one gigantic gingerbread cookie and then stuck it in there, like. Well, the night.
But to be fair,
the night shift is over.
She brought it to life.
Complete accident, though. We can't give her any credit for that. No benefit of the doubt.
It's intermission. It's intermission. It's intermission. It's intermission. Ice cream, candy, lemonade. hot dog waiting for you.
The popcorn's popping and it's ready to go. You know all the great food is stealing the show.
Get up out your seat and get yourself a tasty treat down at the snack bar. Snack bar.
For you, the listeners of the All-American Spook Show Horror Podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. Like we've talked about in past episodes, you sign up using audibletrial.com/spookshow. You'll get a credit. You can take that credit and pick any audiobook on Audible that you want. And if you decide at that point, you know, Audible's not for me, you can cancel and you get to keep that free book. So it helps us out. You get a free book out of it, win-win. So if you want to, if you're feeling saucy here the holidays, you can just type in Gingerbread on Audible and see what comes up. And here's what I have found: Gingerbread, a novel by Helen Oyayimi. That one's almost 7.5 hours long. I've got The Gingerbread Girl by Stephen King. So there's some horror related stuff. That one's one of his short stories, so it's only a little over 2 hours long. Then you're going to see a lot of kids books, of course, about Gingerbread Man. But I found another one that definitely looks horror to me. It's called Gingerbread by Kate Morris, and that one's almost 15 hours long. Yeah, actually, it looks like it's not necessarily horror, but like a detective whodunit type of book. So yeah, interesting. You just type in Gingerbread and found more than just kids books. Audible's like that. You can find a lot of interesting stuff. So if any of that interests you and you want to download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/spookshow. Again, that's audibletrial.com/spookshow for your free audiobook. So I guess we've stalled long enough. We need to get into this movie. As if sitting down and watching it once wasn't enough, we have to go back and relive it in our minds. So yeah, it starts in, it says, the little plot thing that I found, that this is in Waco, Texas. I don't remember that. I guess at some point there was some reference to Texas or Waco somewhere in the movie.
It
was
Waco.
Yeah, it was the girl's Miss Pretty Face or something like that. Waco.
Yeah, there you go. So there's where you pinpoint the location of this movie. Although the location really means nothing, but whatever. And they're in a diner. It's called Cadillac Jack's. This guy, Gary Busey, Millard Fendelmeyer, basically just comes in and robs the place and then just kills everybody one by one. Like he kills the dad and then kills the son, and their names are Jeremy and James, and Sarah and her, which I don't remember the mom being there at the very beginning. I mean, obviously, she survives or whatever, but I don't remember seeing her hanging around. The dad and the son are kind of hiding in the corner with Sarah. And basically, the dad gets up, "You son of a bitch," and he kills him. And then the son stands up, and then he kills him. And then basically he's about to kill her, and I thought he did, but apparently he didn't.
Yeah, I don't remember her at the beginning either. I mean, maybe
I know the movie was playing, but I wasn't paying attention. I don't remember.
I tell you what, man, all the blood and gore in this scene.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, on the surface, it sounds like it was a bloodbath. It was not.
I mean, the dude got stabbed 80 times, and then you cut back to him, and there is no blood anywhere. And it ends up being a running theme throughout the entire movie.
Yeah. Because of this, so Sarah and her mom survived this whole thing. Now, that's the other thing, too. Now, did they own this diner? This happens, and then they decided afterwards to just start a bakery instead? Is that what happened? Or was this diner connected to the bakery? You just never saw the diner again because they could only shoot for 2 hours one day on a Tuesday at Cadillac Jack's. So that doesn't, that's the disconnect right there, was what I was thinking of earlier. This happened in a fucking diner called Cadillac Jack's, and all of a sudden they own a bakery. I guess it doesn't matter.
Help me God. I don't know.
So Millard is arrested, of course, and he's sentenced to die in the electric chair. And then, he gets executed. You don't see any of this happen, by the way, because I'm assuming they could only get Gary Busey in his physical form for literally an hour one day in the Los Angeles area, and then they got him to do the voice work for the rest, and that was it. So I guess, what do you want? $25,000, right?
I would do that.
Yeah, yeah, I would. $25,000. That's probably what he. Wait a minute. I only got to show up for 20 minutes at a diner on the other side of Los Angeles. And
do I get a free meal out of it?
And then I just get to say stupid shit in the microphone for 30 more minutes. I'm in. So apparently he is cremated, and his ashes are sent to his mother. Now I'm just reading this. Apparently this synopsis, this brief overview, has more information than we are privy to in the movie. Because apparently he's cremated, and his ashes are sent to his mother, according to this, who is a witch who mixes the ashes with a gingerbread spice mix, and then it's sent to the bakery, and then that's how that ends up happening. So, but was I missing something there? Did I space out and go into a 30-minute coma in the middle of this, where any of this was explained that or framed that way in this movie?
This is more of that stuff they took out to make the slim, lean 60-minute runtime.
I guess so, because all you see in the movie is literally like they get a knock on the door, they open up the door, and there's a box sitting there that says like Mother's Gingerbread Spice or some shit on the side of it.
And some druids walking away.
Yeah, and then there's just someone in a druid. There's somebody in a cloak that just walks around the corner, and then she's just totally accepting of it and just pours it in the fucking mix, you know? So, like, that's all you see in the movie, but apparently there was more to it. His mom is a fucking witch who cooked up this whole ordeal. So basically, I guess the premise is, you know, you put the fucking spice in the thing, and then Millard's going to come back to life as a gingerbread cookie. I don't know what the... You know, either that or it's like, ha, that's gross. You just put ashes in food and you didn't know it. You know, like, otherwise, like, how is she to know, right?
Now, was the blood required in that scene?
Well, obviously.
and how did she know that the blood was going to be put right over a thing of flour?
And how did the blood stay in the dough so long? Like, you know, wouldn't that have got mixed in and you wouldn't be able to tell it was blood anymore? But no, like, they kept stirring that shit for like an hour, and you still saw the blood in it. Like, it wasn't that much blood. So there's
a reason this bakery's going under.
So this guy that loves wrestling, he's hitting on Sarah, you know, as he's kind of making time with her.
Not physically.
Yeah. No, he's actually, like, you know, flirting with her or whatever, and he cuts his finger, and the blood goes in the fucking dough, and then it stirs around, and then eventually this turns into the Gingerdead Man. But so you're introduced properly to the mother, Betty, who's now just a full-blown alcoholic who just walks around shooting shit with a shotgun. And then somewhere in here, the guy across the street with the cowboy hat comes along and says, I'll offer you $50,000 for the fucking restaurant because I'm about to, or for the bakery, because I'm about to open a restaurant and we don't want to look at this place anymore. So, you know, they're all pissed about that because they want the bakery to succeed. The girl that works with them, Julia, she takes Betty, the mother, home.
Kind of reminds me of two movies kind of jammed together there, Child's Play and Jack Frost. You know, as far as the creation of the villain.
Yeah, it's very very similar in both ways. Yeah, no doubt.
Chucky's body, you know, and then the whole Jack Frost thing too. With not that this movie is like we established is not that linked to Christmas, but Jack Frost is kind of linked to Christmas. And it is the same type of that premise then. So,
and then also for some reason, this guy, you know, the cowboy hat guy, his daughter, who was like, you know, Miss Waco or whatever the hell she was, her and Sarah don't get along. So she's like, you're offering them too much for the bakery, you know, and there's this whole animosity between them. I guess from other past shit, they just don't like each other. The guy that likes Sarah, you know, the guy that works there that's like into wrestling, by the way, his name is Brickfield. A lot of baking puns here, right? Fields, Sarah Lee, Cadbury, all kinds of stupid shit here. Jimmy Dean. So they use this stuff, and his blood gets in the dough, and then like it eventually like gets mixed in, and I guess like she pats the dough out, and then uses this huge cookie cutter to make one enormous fucking gingerbread.
I noticed that. I was like, Jesus.
It's like the
you
size
had to
of...
specially make that.
Yeah. It's like this cookie cutter is like the size of her fucking torso. It's huge. And she cuts the gingerbread man, and she only makes one, by the way, like shitload of dough on this table, one cookie, man, because she cuts it, puts it on the sheet, and walks into that fucking oven where she could cook 1,000 cookies at once and puts it in there. And it just makes the Gingerdead Man. Millard comes back to life. You know, just to kind of make a long story short, that's what happens. And this thing is on a fucking killing spree. I love the part. End. Basically, the end. I love the part, by the way, when it comes back to life, and then he looks out the window. There's, I mean, really, like, it's hard to explain this movie in a lot of ways because it don't make any fucking sense. But a lot of the funniest stuff is just like sight gag type stuff. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, some of the goofy one-liners, like "I ain't the Pillsbury fucking doughboy" or something like that. You know, there's stupid shit like that. But mostly, it's like you just have to see the Gingerdead Man to see why it's funny because it's fucking stupid looking. You know, and the way it acts and everything. So Lorna shows back up. And she tries to put a rat in the bakery so the health department will shut them down. But, of course, Sarah comes along as she's doing this, and then they get into a little cat fight or whatever. And that's what, you know, causes this surge of electricity to go into the oven that reanimates, you know, or animates, I should say, the cookie. And, you know, so that's all it takes is just, you know, a little bit of blood, some magic powder, put it in the dough, slap it in the oven, and then cause an electrical surge. Like, so even if a witch did this, how would she know that the electrical surge is going to happen that kind of helps it happen, right? Like, a lot of that doesn't make any sense either if that's what happened here.
Welcome to the Twilight Zone.
And full moon. So old Amos Cadbury, who's Lorna's boyfriend, he shows up, and he's like your typical, like, once again, this is where it looks like a 90s movie in 2005. He's like your typical, like, you know, fucking cut-off shirt, you know, wearing, you know, wallet with the chain type dude. And basically both chicks, you know, are into him. Or she's only into him because, you know, the other girl is, basically, is the way they frame it. And so he's there as kind of like the dude that's going to, you know, kick some ass, right? He goes out to his car and gets a gun and comes back in or whatever when some weird shit's starting to go down. But they attempt to lock the cookie in the freezer, and then Sarah tries to call the cops, but the line is dead, of course, you know, that old bit. And then his cell phone, the batteries go dead, so they can't call anybody. That's the other side of this, too. Like, they're not locked in there. They can leave at any time. But they just decide to, like, no, we need to stay here. It's the safest place. If we just go out there, he's going to kill us. You know, like, that's the reasoning.
This was before the dad was dead.
Yeah, like, and that's the other thing, too. Like, at any point, they could have run out and flagged down one of those hundreds of cars that pass by the bakery that you can see in the background anytime there's an exterior shot. You see cars driving by. So, like, at any point, anybody could have run out there and said, hey, something, you know, some fucked up shit's happening in here. Betty comes back, the mother, she comes back to the bakery because she's a drunk and she's looking for her stash of alcohol. And then Julia comes back looking for her. Now, how the hell Julia took Betty to her house to lay down and Betty beat her back? God knows, you know, it doesn't matter, but how the hell that happened, who knows? But during this...
And what good alcoholic doesn't have a stash at home?
Yeah, she has to go all the way back to the bakery for her fucking bottle of liquor.
And I'm guessing there's no ABC store on the way. Grocery store. I mean, there's a lot of places you can get alcohol.
So Gingerdead Man attacks Betty when she comes back for the liquor, and then she loses a finger. I think she even cuts it off and says like, "Hey, here's a lady finger" or something like that, right?
That's what he said. You had a lady finger.
God,
Dumb.
So bad.
God damn.
But she loses the finger, and then he manages to put her in the oven when Julia is knocked out by a frying pan. And then he encases her in frosting and decorates her and leaves her in the freezer. And it was like little cherries on her boobs or something.
I will tell you right fucking now, that was the only redeeming factor.
So Amos, like I said, he goes out and gets a handgun because now they know some shit's afoot. The dad, Jimmy Dean, he arrives, you know, the cowboy guy, he arrives to pick up Lorna. And then, of course, Gingerdead Man takes over his car and then uses a rolling pin to operate the gas pedal. And then he just runs into the guy and like pins him between the car and the wall, so he's dead. They Amos and Sarah, you know, now they're together. They find Julia in the freezer, you know, where she's like in the frosting or whatever the hell. And this is where Sarah realizes like she believes that this cookie that's running around is Millard come back from the dead. Lorna goes outside. She's like, I'm not hanging around here. I'm going to sit outside and wait for Dad. But then she goes out and finds her dad, obviously that he's dead. Then she like steals his ring off his finger and goes back inside, where she like triggers a tripwire that lodges a knife right into her forehead and kills her. So apparently he's adept enough to set booby traps. I guess that's kind of their way to explain why they don't leave. Because she's, I'm leaving, and she trips this thing and it kills her. So then they're like, oh shit, he's booby trapped all the doors. So I guess that's the written in excuse as to why they can't just leave, right? Even though, like I said, he just walked out and got the gun and walked back in. There's this scene where Sarah and Amos admit they have feelings for one another, and then that's when they realize they find Betty in this oven. Now that's the thing, like she'd been in that oven for a while, and like really for the most part she was okay. But then later on in the movie, anything else that goes in that oven like gets burned up like within seconds, right? The Gingerdead Man locks Sarah in the oven and knocks Amos out with a hammer. Amos recovers just in time to shoot the lock off the oven door and get Sarah out of there. The wrestling guy Brick, he returns to help just in time, but the Gingerdead Man grabs Amos's gun and starts shooting. Julia and Brick manage to subdue the Gingerdead Man, and Brick eats the cookie's head off. Like as he's talking like wrestling smack to him, like, I'm gonna take you down or whatever, and then he just starts eating his fucking head. And there's blood all over his face and everything. Then right after that...
The only time there's blood in this movie.
Pretty much.
Well, except for the wrist cut.
Then right after that, of course, because he just ate the Gingerdead Man's head, Brick is now possessed by the Gingerdead Man, or by Millard. He attacks Sarah. Then, she is rescued by Amos and Julia, who push Brick into the oven and turn it on full heat and finally kill him. Like I said, it happens a lot faster than it did with old Betty, right? She's all right. Then you basically fast forward it here at the end, months later. Betty, Sarah, and Amos are having like a bake sale to raise money for the hospital or children's hospital or whatever. And then there's 2 nurses there. And then a couple kids come up and ask if they can have any gingerbread cookies. And one of the nurses says, oh, well, this older lady just stopped by and dropped some off. And then she opens up the box, and there's 5 gingerbread cookies in there who open their eyes.
They're Google eyes, right?
Yeah.
Googly.
Then it says one of the gingerbread cookies is bought by a woman who also buys a full box of pastries and ships them to her sister in Los Angeles. I don't remember that part, but so there you go. That's we kind of tripped and fell into this movie, but here it is. That was the Gingerdead Man from 2005. Donnie, I'm going to leave with you. What do you got to say about this one? What's your star rating?
Oh man, I'm going to give this. I actually just mentioned it just a few minutes ago. For me, the only redeeming factor was the girl in the freezer with the cherries on top of her whipped cream titties. Everything else sucks, and that is the only reason I am giving this a full star.
Will, what do you have to say?
Man, I think I'm gonna go with 2 stars just because this is a horrible movie. But it's like a train wreck. You've got to sit there and watch it. Like horrible puns, horrible names, things don't make sense, and you're just like, how did this get made? Let's see what happens next. So yeah, I'm going with 2.
All right, Smoke, what do you say?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of I'm right there between Donnie and Will. It is entertaining. I like the fact that it makes me think of a mid to late 90s movie, even though it's made in 2005. There's something about that. I like that. Like the characters you described, the guy that comes in with it, like the sort of punker / whatever guy that's like stepped out of whatever late 90s movie.
Oh, yeah, he looks like he's like the backup like guitar tech for Creed or something.
Yeah. Except for the eyebrow ring. The eyebrow ring screams millennium,
screams
2001.
It screams Motley Crue. I get you.
Yeah. But it's an entertaining train wreck, like Will said. I mean, I'm right between them. I'm 1.5 for me on the star rating. It's entertaining enough. It is shit, yes, and Full Moon has done way, way, way better. They've probably done a little bit worse. Actually, honestly, I can't.
No, they have.
I have a catalog of Full Moon movies, and right now, off the top of my head, I can't think of a worse Full Moon movie right now. But most of my experience with Full Moon has been in the early 90s. Kind of, I guess you call their golden era. Subspecies and all the movies you mentioned earlier, Demonic Toys, et cetera, et cetera. So, but yeah, I'm going with a 1.5. It's entertaining, at least.
I think for myself, for all the reasons that all of y'all just said, I'm still just only going to give it 1 star, and those are the redeeming qualities. Everything you just said, and I agree. 1 star. This movie sucks. Will I ever sit down and watch it again? I doubt it. You don't really need to, you know. But that being said, I think it's worth a watch. Like you said, Will, like, you should watch it just once because you know, you just need to see it for yourself. I mean, like, I think the funny things are funny, but, like, I think some of the things that were supposed to be funny aren't funny, you know, and there's probably too much them trying to be serious to set up the funny, you know. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's like, I don't know, it seems like they were trying too hard on a lot of fronts and didn't deliver on the aspects that you'd think they would, you know. I mean, really, the funniest thing to me about this movie is just the look of the Gingerdead Man. Like, every time I saw him, I laughed, you know. It wasn't because of what he was saying. The one-liners were stupid. But the look of it, the facial expressions and everything, you know, that I'll give it, you know, a little bonus action for that. But still, it sucked, you know. That's just my opinion. It's 1 star, you know. That's as far as I'll go.
Yeah, my big movie going into it was kind of Gary Busey being the voice. I thought, oh, this is gonna be pretty funny. It's kind of some good one-liners. But like you said, it's either the writing or I don't know if he improvised, whatever the case may be, whatever it was. The one-liners were not as funny as they should have been with Busey.
No, like,
that was a draw because I loved him in Silver Bullet. I thought he was comic gold in Silver Bullet.
Yeah, I mean, he's had plenty of other movies where he was better, obviously, but, like, I just think that, like, obviously because he got paid next to nothing as far as their scale is concerned. I think he just kind of mailed it in, and the writers, I don't think, you know, not to shit on them, they're not very good. So you get a dude mailing it in and combine it with writers that aren't very good. You know, I don't know. Like you said, I think they're just better examples of Full Moon stuff. You know, that are just done better from what they achieved here. You know, you think it would be better just because Charles Band like actually directed it. You know, he wasn't just a producer on it. But no, I mean, not much going for it for me. All right, Donnie, so I guess we'll get into our little individual segments here, and I'll toss to you first.
Connections from the credits.
We need all the laughs.
Gotta have all of them because
that's the longest
wasn't much
laugh
to be had. Otherwise, you know, there's a few, but no. So basically, with and if you're, you know, kind of new to the show, I'm sorry you had to kind of jump in on this one, but
wow.
Yeah, right. So basically, with Crypt Connections, we connect the current movie episode by any cast and crew connections to past Spookshow episodes, and with the Gingerdead Man, we actually connect writer Dominic Muir. I'm probably fucking up the name, but so probably smart on his part. He went by August White, but he was also the writer for Critters, which is our episode number 11. There was another connection also to John Carl Bushler. He did the makeup and special effects. He was one of the crew members there for Reanimator, which was our very first episode. So yeah, that's those are the two connections I have to past Spookshow episodes.
I actually saw his name randomly when I was, you know, looking at the credits for a minute there. I guess it was the ones at the beginning. I saw his name and I was, oh, that's interesting. And then I just kind of forgot to mention it again. So yeah, that's a good call. All right, Will, it's been a while since you've done a kill count, so I'm going to toss to you.
Kill. Count.
All right, so I came up with 7. Got the waitress who got shot in the head, the dad who got shot in the chest, the brother who got stabbed multiple times, Jimmy Dean who got in between the wall and the car.
But he can make some mean sausage, though. I'll give him that.
Laura Dean who got cut in the face multiple times and eventually got a knife straight to the head. Brick Fields got possessed and then burnt alive. And then the Gingerdead Man, who had his head bitten off and then remade.
So I guess the Gingerdead Man, I guess we'll count it, you know, as far as a contained movie or whatever. Now we have the hindsight of knowing that there were, you know, 3 or 4 more movies with the Gingerdead Man in it. But, you know, I guess you could count that. I mean, because he was a reanimated person, right? So we'll go with it. Fuck it, it doesn't matter. That leads us to our last little bit here.
Gore Score.
We don't have a whole lot to go on here, as all of us have alluded to. Like Will was saying, too, it's pretty bloodless at the beginning. Stabbed like however many times. The gunshot wounds at the beginning. There could have been a lot more gore there, but there wasn't. I don't remember where the first actual little bit of blood comes into this movie, besides a little bit of blood that literally goes into the making of the Gingerdead Man. You had the mom's finger getting cut off. You had the knife and what was the sister's name? You get in her head, the booby trap.
Lorna.
Lorna Dean.
That's right, yeah.
Did they do that just because it's close to Lorna Doone?
Why? Maybe so.
The fucking cookies, the Lorna Doone cookies. Is that what that is? These sons of
you
bitches.
You also have famous Amos.
God damn it.
Oh, God. But, yeah, she gets the knife in the head right from the booby trap, but you don't actually get to see it. You just see the after effect. Actually, that was just a weird kind of effect. You see the tripwire, and she trips it, and then all of a sudden it cuts to her, it shows the head with the after effect of the knife in it, a little bit of blood around it or whatever. You had the face slashing, and you had Gingerdead Man getting eaten, which was probably the goriest, or the nastiest bit. That's not like a normal, like we talked about. It's not like you're just eating a normal gingerbread man.
Yeah.
It was like chunks and stuff. That was actually probably the most disgusting part of the special effects or whatever. And that's really about it as far as gore goes. I'll probably give it a 3. I guess that's fair.
Fair enough. I mean, there's blood there. There's a little bit of gore there. I mean, enough to know you watched a horror movie, right? So it's not completely bloodless. There's enough there. I mean, seeing somebody catch a knife to the head and their finger cut off and burned in an oven and shit like that, there's enough.
Yeah. It's just not prolonged like you would. Yeah, I mean, it's not. They're definitely bloodless in terms of Full Moon. I mean, not the Full Moon going for full splatter for a lot of them, but most of them are a little bit more. Have a little bit more juiciness than this one did.
Yeah. All right, so that's how we decided to celebrate Christmas this year, was to watch the Gingerdead Man, which we've come to the conclusion the movie probably wasn't very good and had little to nothing to do with Christmas. So, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yep.
Next week, our first show post-Christmas on the 27th, we'll be doing our 2021 year in review, to where, it's not necessarily like, wrapping up the year here, because we've kind of already done that on our 3rd anniversary show back on Halloween. This is more like we're just going to talk about some of the movies that came out in 2021, horror movies that we enjoyed or that we watched. Maybe we hated, enjoyed, or whatever, but we'll talk about that. We won't be going in depth and giving ratings or anything like that. Just, all right, here's a handful that I watched this year, and this is what we recommend kind of thing. So come back next Monday at 6 p.m. East on December 27th for that one. And I'll give you the tease for the beginning of the year. Episode 89 on January 3rd, we'll be watching New Year's Evil, the cult classic from 1980. And I'll give you the brief IMDb synopsis on that one. During a New Year's Eve celebration, a Los Angeles disc jockey receives a phone call saying that when New Year strikes in each time zone, someone will be murdered, and she will be the last one. Get ready for that one. I think you can watch it on Prime Video. I mean, I'm sure there's a couple other various ways, and you probably want to get that in before the end of the year, because sometimes these movies get added or taken away from streaming services and stuff. So just a heads up, you might want to go ahead and watch that one before the end of the year, and you've got 2 weeks before that episode comes out. So we're going to be watching New Year's Evil. So that is how we will begin 2022, guys. So but we're not quite done with 2021 just yet. We got one more show to do, like I said, the 2021 year in review next week, and then that'll wrap it up. I guess that's all that needs to be said about the Gingerdead Man, the Christmas holidays, and everything else. So, like we said, enjoy Christmas if that's what you celebrate, or any other holidays here. We'll talk to you before the New Year's out, but everybody have a safe holiday season with friends and family and everything, and we appreciate you listening. So, for Will and Donnie and the Professor Smoke, I'm Josh. We are the All-American Spookshow Horror Podcast, and we'll talk to you next week.